It's more difficult than one might think to not start a review for a game like today's title and don a fedora or talk in a bad New York accent, especially when the name of the game is Wise Guys. But here we are, hatless and with my well-trained non-regional dialect. Our provided review copy of Wise Guys comes to us from Gale Force Nine, who you might remember from the flurry of Dune games last year, including the one we reviewed, which you can revisit right up there. This is a re-implement of GF9's Sons of Anarchy game from 2014, with not only a slight tonal shift, but a few other changes as well. Sons of Anarchy didn't do all that well, but by all accounts was a very good game in its own right. Will Wise Guys be the key to the vault? Let's open the box and find out. Past our box cover art featuring angels with filthy souls cosplayers, we find the 16-page rulebook, which, despite a tiny bit of organization issues, does an admirable job of explaining the game. There's even a glossary of terms on the back page and a game breakdown on the back cover. Very handy. Unfortunately, here's where things get sticky. The bottom section of the insert will hold all of the location tiles, but the token channels under those are sort of a free-for-all. There were no baggies included in this game, so storing this one upright will mean you'll need to BYOB, or deal with reorganizing a little each time. The top section will hold the player boards and screens on top of the action tiles and gangster tiles. Over here we have 4 player dice, 1 in each color, and a small stack of Roaring 20s cards. All in all, this insert is fine, but certainly not what I'd call outstanding. Let's get into the game, where you won't be quite so happy that the 21st Amendment exists. The goal of the game. Wise Guys is a 3 or 4 player worker placement game with a little bit of blind bidding. Expect your first game to take close to 2 hours or so, but an experienced player can finish up in about 60 to 90 minutes. The object is to be the player still alive at the end of 6 rounds, having made the most money. Cash tokens are gained primarily through trading guns and booze at the location tiles, but also through the black market, which is where the blind bidding comes in. More on that in a second. Each of the 6 rounds in Wise Guys is made up of 7 steps. While this may sound like a lot, it's really very intuitive, and once you've done 1 round, you shouldn't need to do more than glance at the helper information anymore. Each player begins by collecting the amount of orders they'll have for the round. This is rarely the same for each player, even round to round, so make sure you're thinking ahead. Collect car tokens in your color equal to the equation shown at the top of your clubhouse. In this case, my Chicago outfit gains 4 orders plus 1 for each made man in my gang. I have 3, making 7 total order tokens. Once that's done, you also reveal 2 new business locations if there are any face down. This being the first round of the game, we have 6 to choose from, so we'll turn over these 2. Additionally, we'll reveal some number of these Roaring 20 cards equal to the round, but never more than 3. The 4th step is the meat and potatoes of the game. We'll issue orders 1 at a time around the table, starting with the boss of bosses, who holds this token. During setup, that's given to the player who chose their gang last. Issuing orders is as easy as spending 1 order token somewhere on the table based on what you want to do. There are 7 choices, including moving your gang members from one location to another, recruiting or promoting new members, fighting other gang members, and exploiting the locations for their abilities. Once each player has exhausted all of their action tokens or wishes to forego the rest, you'll move on to the black market. This is where you and your fellow bootleggers are going to sell your booze into the streets. Depending on your clout, you're capped at a certain quantity to move, and the price your customers are willing to pay is tied to how much booze hits the bars. If everyone dumps as much as they can, the various watering holes aren't going to need yours as badly and will pay less. However, if there's not much to be had, you're able to command a higher price. Each player reveals their sales at once and collects their cash. Finally, you'll clean up any remaining actions left to be done on the cards here, and then return all of the action tokens to the pool and roll to see the fate of your injured footman. What works well here is that I think the overall structure of the game fits this theme a lot better than it did in Sons of Anarchy. Prohibition was a time where how you were perceived was just as powerful as the gun you carried, and appearing weak meant you were out of business. Smartly allocating your goons around town, carrying out your business plan, and slowly but surely turning fermented sugar water into cash is a recipe for success. Sooner or later, though, someone is going to challenge you, and you have to be ready to fight or talk your way out of that. Combat in Wise Guys is also particularly enjoyable and strategic. While there is a D6 involved, a shrewd player is going to minimize its importance by choosing their fights wisely. Each gun token provides 3 strength by itself, ensuring that bringing a lot of them means that you'll probably win. But both sides come heavily loaded for bear, you're going to end up with a lot of Chicagoans in the emergency room, and that's a problem. All of this means that fighting has serious consequences if you turn up the heat. But, like Sean Connery said, they pull a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue. That's the Chicago way, and that's how you get Capone. With Wise Guys, you can do just that. So, where does Wise Guys take the fall? In a few places, in my opinion. First and foremost, there's player elimination. This by itself forces you to very seriously consider where you're going to go through the location tiles. But the game can crawl to a stop for you if the other players see you winning and decide to take you out. You can avoid going places with the ability to fight, but eventually that's just going to keep you from doing anything interesting, and that's not great game design. Secondly, the early game here is a little awkward. The 5 starting locations and 2 or even 4 extra ones can get awfully crowded awfully fast, especially in a 4-player game. The very useful locations get snapped up fast, and unless you're looking for a fight early, being late in turn order can force you into some poor decisions. It's not unreasonable to have 2 or 3 action tokens left in the first round and look at your options on the table without liking any of them. The flip side of this is that it's a perfectly reasonable strategy to just sit tight and let the other gangs squabble while you quietly build a tiny empire. 6 rounds is a lot, and there's plenty of time to be patient and make your move. As I've learned so often in this industry, most games live or die by what you bring with them to the table. Sometimes it's expectations, and sometimes it's your particular group. Never have both of these been more true for me than with Wise Guys. Let's go through our checklist before I give you my final thoughts. In the box, rulebook clear and non-gender pronouns. The 16-page rulebook goes clearly and quickly through setup and the turn structure, and also provides additional optional rules for expanded gameplay and a glossary in the back. Overall, the rulebook is very good and uses second-person you and yours pronouns throughout. Iconography clear. Guns, booze, and money are all you'll need here, just like the gangsters of the era. Depicting each are very clear icons, so confusing anything in this game is a rarity. Packaging well done. Not particularly. While I appreciate the nod to some sort of organization given the box's 3-compartment system, no baggies were given to hold the huge amount of asset tokens together. It also would have been nice to have a way to keep all the individual gang tokens grouped up. This means that if you store your games properly, which is to say vertically, then expect to do a little bit of reorganization when coming back to this one. On the table, good representation. The 4 gangs are represented both on the player boards and screens by 4 white dudes, and the art depicting their associates is similarly just white dudes. The location tiles depict precisely 1 person of color, the stereotypical black jazz trumpet player, and have 2 women, both white, one a showgirl and the other a lounge singer. Virginia Hill and Stephanie St. Clair would like a word. Separately, 2 of the characters in-game feature names with outdated racial or ethnic slurs, which, while I understand these were real people, it's still a rough look in 2022. Component quality. Serviceable. While the location tiles are thick punch, the gang members are standard cardboard and the assets are the same. Nothing feels cool or luxurious, but it all functions just fine, including the smaller size player screens. Replay value. Medium. While variable setup is certainly a thing here, the actual gameplay is going to be the same basic thrust every time. That's by no means a bad thing. In fact, I'd say that if Wise Guys is your particular brand of beer, then you can look forward to a reliably fun experience every time. Fun to lose. Yes. With hidden information and money constantly being exchanged back and forth, it can be surprisingly hard to track who's actually winning. Revealing at the end has been eye-opening in many of our games, so there's some fun tension to be had as you play through to the very last round. While Wise Guys isn't the perfect game by any stretch, it does encapsulate the gangster era of Prohibition well, at least the stereotypical version of it, which is all we want to play at the table anyway. I was disappointed at the lack of diversity across the game's art, to be certain, and I also wanted more from the organization. If you're looking for a game that puts you in the saddle shoes of some of the biggest names in crime, you found it here. As always, I'm Nicholas, reminding you to help protect the game population. Always leave your cards. Hey everyone, if you liked our video, please hit that sub button and ring the bell for notifications. Check out all of our other offerings at goodluckhighfive.com, and please consider becoming a patron of the channel over at patreon.com/GLHFmagic. It helps us keep making videos, reviews, and podcasts. You can become a member for any dollar amount. We're also always looking for new games to review. You can reach me at glhfnicholas@gmail.com. You can follow me, Captain N the Game Master, at CaptainNGM on Twitter and Instagram, and follow the channel at GLHF Magic. Remember, please shop at your local game store whenever possible. Until next time, I'm Nicholas, and good luck. High five.